Let's get this party started. Let's get this party started. How you doing, everybody? My name is Brainsmasher, and welcome, VC. I hope you found me not as a subscriber, but from the vinyl tag 20 questions that we're going to be doing today. I really liked doing the vinyl tag 20 questions thing 2 years ago because it opened up me to an audience that wasn't necessarily my genre, which is metal, mostly metal, but it really just diversified the kind of people that I was interacting with. So I really thought that my unique perspective was appreciated well by people outside of my normal Hessian community, and I appreciated being able to reach people who I wouldn't ordinarily be able to reach. So if you're not familiar with what this is, subscribers and others, I answer 20 questions, and each answer is kind of a record in my collection that answers that question. It's an interesting way to just kind of shoot the breeze about records, as I do on my channel all the time, but my channel is mostly about CDs. My record collection is down here. It's much smaller than my CD collection, as you probably know. So I've got 20 records pulled out here. I'll put the questions down below so that you can shoot this video. I hope you do. It's a great way to just kind of mix it up, I think. The metal community can get kind of incestuous and glass housey, if you will. So it's nice, I think, to step outside of our genre and kind of talk about things that aren't all violence and death and darkness for a while. Although I've got some of that in this pile, I've got some other things too. So I hope you like it. So the first question is the best find of 2018. That was an easy one. This year I spent the most on any record that I ever have. And that is Paysage d'Hiver, self-titled LP. Looks kind of weird because I've got it all kind of taken apart. Now this is limited to 300 copies, and this album is an absolute masterpiece. It is a departure from Earth for your brain, if there ever was one. And I have enjoyed the hell out of this record so many times. It is near and dear to my heart. It is a desert island album. It is a top 5 of all time for me. And this beautiful edition, 2 LPs. There's 3 songs on this LP. Their songs are lengthy and just atmospheric and just nightmarishly cold. And so this is a kind of a lot to take apart. I'm not going to get all the way into it because we've got 19 more records, but check out this wax seal on the back of that guy. I had been kicking tires on this for years since I missed it on pre-order, and it consistently went for $300. And it came up on Discogs this year for almost half that, and I had to bite, so I did. I'm super glad that I did. It's definitely a highlight or cornerstone of what is now my collection. Next question is shout out to other VC channels. I do a lot of this. Metal YouTubers do a lot of this, referencing here and there, but like, you know, there's ones that you all probably know: Count Blackerath, Wyatt XM, Eric Bauer, Ground Zero Salem. But the ones I think that deserve more attention are going to be Sir Meatwad, Marvel Mills, my man, and Justin Stubbs. He's doing great stuff over at justinstubbs.com or whatever. I'll put links down below for you to get subscribed and get familiar with them, so I hope you do. Next question is, what holes are you looking to fill in your collection? Now me, I'm not a vinyl head primarily, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that I don't buy crappy albums on vinyl. So when a band that I love puts out good albums and then takes a dump and puts out a bad album, I don't get it. You know, we're in a day and age where we can listen to any record on YouTube. So when a band puts out a new record, I generally check it out before I buy it. Mostly because the excitement of being able to hear it instantly, I'm an instant gratification kind of guy. So I'm not going to find out about the new record from Who's It and just order it before I hear it. That just doesn't happen. I think I did do it this year with Immortal, but I had heard their single from the album and it knocked my socks off and I bought it instantly. So I generally don't buy everything from any band, and a lot of bands that I listen to only have 1 or 2, 3 albums or so. So it's not hard to like fill out a collection for a band that I love. However, I would say probably Dark Throne might be a band that I would be interested in getting all or most of their stuff from. I've only got like 5 or so. So like, nah, I won't get into that. My favorite, a cheap album that is really good. That's such a vague and easy question, but came up with this, Uriah Heep, Sweet Freedom. This was cheap to me. My local record store kind of does this cool thing, and I don't really know why or what's there, but there's a box sitting right inside their door, and it says free stuff. And every once in a while, there's LPs, 7 inches, flyers, stickers, promo material, posters, tapes and CDs and stuff just sitting in there. And so sometimes if I go in there and I don't find anything that I want, or like I kind of wished I would have bought more or whatnot, I'll take a dig through there if there's not too much in there and just, come home with Sweet Freedom from Uriah Heep. Uriah Heep's a killer band. You can find this in every used bin across America, I guarantee you. So they're a great hard rock band from the 70s. They had a lot of formative impressions on the genre that I love. Fenriz of Dark Throne talks so lovingly about these guys, and they deserve it. They're one of the greatest 70s hard rock bands there ever was. Your favorite side project album? Yeah, I think this is an easy choice also. We're going to go with Ashen Eidolon from Gallow Braid. Solo project of... I kind of wonder if I should be using his... Yeah, okay, his full name is used in this, Jake Rogers. Jake Rogers is probably more well-known from Caladan Brood or Visigoth, 2 projects that I absolutely adore. And so this is his solo project. The song Stone of Remembrance is so damn good. For those of you unfamiliar with my channel, I will put a link down below to all the questions and all the songs and albums that I'm referencing down below. So just look down there, click on an album if it sounds interesting to you at all. Look at that beautiful artwork. Northern Silence put this out a couple of years ago. I think this is actually kind of hard to find these days. But it's just great, melodic, killer, black metal. It kind of pulls in a lot of different influences. It's an eclectic album. It's got some kind of heavy metal kind of stuff, but man, he's such a talented vocalist. He's got a lot of diverse instrumentation and talent going on here. Ashen Eidolon from Gallow Braid. Can't go wrong there. Next question. A song from an artist that is uncharacteristic in their catalog. That was kind of hard to answer. So this album is uncharacteristic of the artist's catalog. This is the Yellow River Boys. This is like the main guy, the main genius behind this is Tim Heidecker, who you might know from the Comedy Team, Tim and Eric. Awesome show, great job. You gotta know Tim and Eric. And this is a masterpiece. So it's the reason it's an uncharacteristic thing in his catalog is he ordinarily does comedy, doesn't really do music that often, or at least he isn't very well known for doing music, but this is hilarious. It's like kind of a 80s rock, maybe 70s rock, classic rock kind of styled album, and every single song on it is about piss. Except for one song, it's actually about shit. But it's hilarious. It's so catchy. And of course it comes on yellow vinyl. It's so fun and memorable and just catchy, and it's just, there's songs that sound like Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty, Bob Seger. There's kind of a song in the style of every single, there's like a Randy Newman song. Tim Heidecker really writes in the style, I think defaulting in the style of Randy Newman. It's super fun and weird. It's just, I get these songs stuck in my head at work, and I walk around work just singing songs about piss, and people are like, what the fuck did he just say? It's so weird. Last album I purchased, I actually got 2 from my buddy Wyatt XM. Death, Leprosy, and Bathory's Nordland 1 and 2. Thank you, Wyatt. Gave me a great deal on those. Killer records. A great album with a bad cover. I had a lot of different ideas, but this is what I wound up coming up with. So this is Worm Phlegm, and the album title is the longest album I probably own, but we'll give it a shot. In an excruciating way, inhabited with vermin and pests, and violated by executioners who practice incendiarism and desanctifying the pious. Makes no goddamn sense to me. But this is a brilliant Finnish funeral doom record. It's super atmospheric and just swampy and drenched in just disgusting murk and mire. Tons of reverb just bouncing off the walls all over the place. Some black vinyl. It's kind of hard to re-sleeve, so I keep it outside of the jacket here. But the artwork, I think, is just kind of This was originally released only on CDR back in like 2002, I want to say. And it finally made its way to vinyl just 2017 maybe or so. So it's pretty limited and hard to find, but it is a brilliant record, deserving of better artwork than just this kind of sketchy, clip arty, kind of murky stuff. I really think this does the album a disservice. So you may be able to luck out and find a copy of it on the cheap online. Next, a bad album with a great cover. This was kind of hard because, again, since I'm not a vinyl maniac, I don't buy everything that comes across my eyes, I guess. So I don't buy bad albums very often. It sounds pompous to say, but like in my collection, I only keep stuff that's really, really good. In fact, a couple of months ago maybe, to make room in my rack here, I culled all the shit. I took out all the albums that I've had since I was a kid, the Devos, the Kraftwerk stuff, Queensryche, fucking Boston, Cameo, all that stuff out the door. So it's pretty much just metal in there. There's not much bullshit. But this is something I've had in my collection for many, many, many years. This is an original Witchcraft Coven, Destroy Minds and Reap Souls. There's so many things about the artwork in this record that are fascinating. A lot of people say that Ozzy Osbourne got his name from this guy. I kind of don't really buy it. I think the timing doesn't quite line up right with it, but his name is Oz Osbourne. It's got a gatefold sleeve to it. And for the year that this was originally released, I don't know, I'm gonna guess maybe like 71 or something. Pretty good condition too for being as old as it is. Coffee stain, don't see that problem very often. But man, I was so sold on the artwork on this, but I put it in and it just sounds like Jethro Tull or like Stevie Nicks or Fleetwood Mac. Actually, it's kind of boring. These guys just reformed, I think, this year. Probably just this lady with like a backup band or something, but whatever. It's got some pretty cool artwork that I was super amazed by when I first saw this and bought it. But for the album that it is, it's kind of boring. Also, not really my kind of thing. So the next we have a blues album. Now that is something that is like completely out of my wheelhouse. I don't listen to blues. I'm not trying to talk shit about it or not blues music whatsoever. I just don't have any of it. I don't listen to any of it. I'm welcome to blues suggestions, I guess, but the closest thing that I do have, and I think this is kind of a stretch, but also interesting, Townes Van Zandt, Delta Mama, blues. See? Blues. That's where it works. This is gifted to me by my dear friend Austin of Panopticon, and this is a treasure. Townes Van Zandt was an artist back in the 70s. This originally was released in 71, and this is a Fat Possum reissue from 2007. Not much to it, but he's kind of he was influenced by Southern blues. Lightnin' Hopkins was a big influence on Townes, and some of his songs are just really morose and sad and lonely. Other songs are a little bit more uplifting and whatnot, but it's good stuff. I think if you're into kind of like dreary, depressing music like I am. Did I talk about this? 40 Watt Sun, this is what we're listening to. Can't remember if I did or not. Anyways, this is what we're listening to. 40 Watt Sun, Wider Than the Sky. Amazing. So that is my blues record. Next is an earworm song. This was an easy choice because I've had this song stuck in my head for several weeks now. And that's Earn Enough for Us by XTC, one of my favorite bands. This, in fact, is the album Skylarking. I sometimes toy with the idea of this being my favorite album of all time. It is perfect. Produced by Todd Rundgren, XTC is one of the most brilliant bands I've ever heard. I love pretty much all of their material. And this is, I think, really where it all came to the perfect harmony and synergy. Earn Enough for Us is the song on that starts off track side B. It's really, really catchy chorus. So these guys were like kind of a British post-punk kind of band that got really weird right out the gate. Their first album, Go To, is really angular and kind of weird, but they progressed through so many different changes and grew and grew and grew throughout the years that I love so many of their records. They're a brilliant band, XTC, Skylarking. And if Earn Enough for Us doesn't get stuck in your head immediately, I don't know what's wrong with you. I kept the receipt from when I purchased this, actually, funny enough. I bought that LP back in 2009, along with Bethlehem's Dark Metal, Flesh Crawl's Descended to the Absurd, Baphomet's Dead Shall Inherit, and Blasphemy's Gods of War. Original presses of all those. That was a really good stop at the store. $40 for all those albums and Skylarking. So next we've got a historically important artist. So that was a tough one for me too. I don't have any Beatles. I don't listen to the Beatles. I don't have any of that old kind of stuff. Like I said, I mainly culled my collection down to metal. But one of the non-metal artists, or one of the kind of older than metal artists that I did keep in my collection was Chick Corea, Return to Forever. I've got maybe 6 or 7 Return to Forever albums in my collection. I love Return to Forever. Now you might think that I listen to other jazz artists since I'm into Return to Forever or since I'm into Chick Corea, but mainly this is really all you need as far as I'm concerned. He's a brilliant songwriter, and I called him historically important because I believe he started out in 1961, if I'm not mistaken. He's 77 years old to this day. Great stuff. He's anything Chick Corea is on, to me, is interesting and worth buying. And Return to Forever was the greatest thing I think he ever did. So, an album you own because of your parents. Like I said, I kind of got rid of all that stuff a couple of months ago to make room in this cabinet. Now, it's probably going to come to the conclusion where I buy another one of these and put it over here and fill that up too. But I ran this question by my girlfriend, and she had a really good answer. She said all of them. Now, that makes such perfect sense because honestly, when I grew up poor, I really only had I inherited my mom's Bill Cosby comedy records, like I think a lot of guys did. And there was one record that I bought, Devo's New Traditionalists. I picked it up at a Goodwill for like 88 cents. This is probably back in like 88, 89, something like that. And that was it. That was all I had for the longest time. So that would have been maybe my pick if I still had it. But since I grew up being sheltered from secular music, I was a radio kid, and I was just obsessed with all the top 40 hits that were on the radio. So that was my jam, and I didn't have physical copies of anything hardly. So as a result, I think I've lashed out at that sort of sheltered and poor kind of upbringing that I had, and I just buy metal by the pound pretty much. So that's why all of them, I think, is a really good answer to that question. Best dollar bin find is next. Now, dollar bin is bullshit. You don't find records for $1 anymore. But this is one of my favorite cheap vinyl finds or cheap bin finds. I paid $7 for this at Earwax Records. Rest in peace, Madison. And the reason it was so cheap is because this little gash here in the vinyl. This is the original Malicious Records version of it, and I can't believe I found this for so cheap. It's got all the original stuff with it. what I like about it is it has the original cover on it. You don't see this version of it very often. Usually on reissues of this, it comes with the picture shrunk down, and I don't understand why that is. Anyways, there is the insert. It's also got kind of a little tear. God. And there's also there's a bunch of cool stuff in here too. From Malicious. Flyers about Gorgoroth. Little mini poster and stuff. There is a Malicious Records catalog. Another Or mini poster. Malicious Records. In fact, there's like 2 of them in here. Bunch of extras. I really dig that. One of my favorite thrash albums of all time. So, next we've got a favorite double album. Now this is kind of hard because metal albums, pretty typically these days, are 2 vinyl. In fact, so when a metal record is pressed at 33 RPM, you wind up with 2 vinyls, basically. So, a single album turns out to be 2 vinyls. So, this was kind of hard to pick, and I don't think I have any actual double vinyls. That would mean 4 LPs, except for this one. And this is a great answer to this question. Panopticon's The Scars of Man, Part 1 and 2. The full title is The Scars of Man's on the Once Nameless Wilderness. So this is a limited edition of both albums put out on Blind Rune Recordings. So here is Part 1, the metal album. I hope you can see this, I'm not sure of the shot. And this is Part 2. Part 1 is the metal album, and Part 2 is... It's kind of dubbed as the folk album, or the country album, or the non-metal album, but honestly, it's pretty metal. Not that it's like blazing fast, but it's intense and atmospheric and huge, just like Panopticon's metal albums are. So it's a brilliant release. It is really, really long. It's not something you can just sit down and listen to the entire double album in a big sitting. I did vocals on the very last track on this album. I think it's funny how you can tell it's Part 1 because it has 2 trees on it. Part 2 has 1 tree on it. That's how I always tell the difference. Next, we've got an album I learned about from the VC. Also an easy answer. Tomb Mold with Manner of Infinite Forms. The VC was just blowing up about this album in the summer. And I was kind of ignoring it until I saw this cover artwork. This thing, oh man, that album artwork is so fucking disgusting and awesome. And the album actually lives up to the cover. I think it was Wyatt that was showing this off that finally convinced me, alright, I'm gonna listen to it. And once I listened to it, it was like an autopsy album to me that I had never heard. It's on black vinyl, so not a lot to look at, but yeah, it really brings together influences from a lot of different kind of death metal niche genres and pays tribute to a lot of 90s death metal very, very well, like a million bands are doing right now. I can't complain, but this is pretty good. Getting down to the nitty-gritty, a 10-inch record. I've only got about 7 or 8 10 inches or so. So I pulled out this one. This is Cruciamentum with Convocation of Crawling Chaos. Hope you like alliteration there. Hope you like disgusting album covers too. So this is their original 2005 demo pressed onto black wax by Nuclear Winter Records. It's just a real short listen, but this is, I don't know, I would say my favorite material from Cruciamentum, but they've gone on to do some really great things. There's really no bad Cruciamentum material, but this thing fucking rules. I really love how visceral the tone is on it. Really, really good stuff. And then we have a 7-inch. I do have quite a few 7 inches, but this one I picked out is kind of special. This is Nefarious not enough people know about Nefarious. Diabolorum is what it's called. So this band is from, oh shit, I should have looked this up, Hungary. And this is a solo or side project from one of the members of Seer Bliss. And this is just some of the most scathing, infernal, nasty, and grim black metal there is. And it comes on this, has this wax seal, just like the Paysage de Verre album I showed, the first record. This was put out by the same label, in addition to 500 copies. And you should be able to pick up copies of this, I think, for pretty cheap still, because no one knows about Nefarious for some reason. Thing is, it's really inconvenient to get out of the sleeve, but I don't know, check this out on YouTube or download it or something. I don't believe you can get this material on any other format, but it is super good. Like, think back to when you first heard Porna or Sargeist, and it is just as good as that stuff. So next, favorite album to fall asleep to. When I was 20 years old or so, 22, I used to listen to Battles in the North by Immortal every night to go to sleep. Then I switched to like Burzum's Dunkelheit, mainly because the third track, that ambient track, just puts me to sleep. It's great. But I haven't listened to music before I fell asleep in years. But I chose this one, Stratosphere, from Tangerine Dream. Get familiar with this record. It is awesome. Tangerine Dream, can't do any wrong, really. Just a single LP. And it's not like I've actually sat around and put this on to fall asleep, but it is really hypnotic, repetitive, and beautiful. You can just get lost in the rhythms and the synths in this album. And finally, kind of a different question, favorite VC experience or advice for those contemplating making a video. First of all, go ahead and do it. Just stop dragging your heels. I always say the sooner you do something that you're thinking about doing, the sooner you know whether you want to keep on doing it or not. And if you wind up doing a YouTube channel, great. Just be yourself. Don't be an idiot. Just be original and try and be different. Try and make something that is set yourself apart from the crowd that you are seeing. And also just try and make material or content or a video that you would want to watch. I think that's what my main driving creativity has been in doing my channel for about 3 years now, is that I want to make the YouTube channel that I would want to watch. And sometimes I even say I wish somebody else was doing my YouTube channel so that I could watch it and not have to be the one doing it. But whatever, it's just a funny thing to say. Thanks for joining me. Let me know what you thought of any of these albums, and if you do a response to this, let me know down in the comments and credit me or whatnot, or say this is where I saw it last. So yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks.